Somewhere in your church right now, someone is quietly deciding your church is not where their family belongs anymore, and not one person on the staff knows it is happening. I'm going to tell you exactly how that happens and exactly what stops it later in this video. But first, let me ask you something, and I want you to actually answer it before you keep watching this video. If I ask you right now how many active groups there are in your church, who leads each one, and who is actually in these groups, could you answer clearly? Hit pause and count your groups. Write down the number you arrive at. Every church has groups. The question is whether those groups or in a system your staff can actually use for communication and for pastoral care. Here is what many church staff members never stop to think through. Groups are the difference between someone who is an occasional pew sitter on Sunday morning worship and someone who is an active part of that community of faith. On the serving side, someone becoming a volunteer is not just filling a slot that needs to be covered. It is an act of stewardship, giving back to Christ and the church through their time and talents, not only a check in the offering plate. Get this structure right, and you are not just managing information as a form of busy work. You are building a ministry management system that turns attendees into a real community. Here is how you get to valuable, important group structure. 5 steps. Let me walk you through each of the 5. Step 1. Vision the entire organization. Before you touch your computer, you need to see the whole thing visually. Every group and ministry in your church falls into one of 2 categories, and they're not doing the same job. Groups that people belong to, small groups, Bible studies for all ages, choir. Ah, yes, the committees, the seemingly never-ending groups that prayerfully keep the ministries running effectively. The leadership groups like deacons, elders, and staff parish relations. Think of these as a place for communication and community. These answer one question. As a congregant, are you well known here and welcomed as a valued part of the community? Groups that people serve on. Volunteers, ushers, welcome team, parking lot team, greeters, acolytes, worship teams, audio and video teams. Most church staff will always say, "We don't have enough volunteers." This video shows why great information management structure in your database will help with this frustration. You should not skip this visualization. Simplifying and clearing this organizational structure will provide many benefits for finding, managing, and especially communicating with those groups by staff. Most church management platforms, Realm included, will actually keep belong groups and serve groups often in 2 separate locations within the system. Whether you're on Realm, Planning Center, Breeze, Amplify, or another CHMS system, this same basic split is probably already in place under the hood for staff, regardless of whether anyone on your staff learned how to leverage it for success. I will give you some examples today in step 3. Hint: be sure and return for our video in 2 weeks about the real payoff for groups in your system. Step 2, storyboard the structure. Now sketch it out. Dry erase board, color-coded post-it notes by ministry, or an electronic sketch. Before you build anything in the information management system or attempt to clean it up or rebuild it, sketch your church's actual ministry organization. Every belong group and every serve team are acknowledged in this graphic image, acknowledging both types of groups. This is a step that most churches skip, and it shows. Storyboarding forces you to answer questions that a vision on a screen will not ask. Is this ministry age-graded? Should it belong to a ministry grouping? Where does something new even go? Get it right on paper, and then building it into the system becomes much more valuable. Queries become more tangible. Texting, emailing directly from the system, or from great tools like Constant Contact and sending mail to all becomes simpler and much more efficient. Doing this as a staff is a great team building exercise that helps them to visualize and pray for everyone's ministry, not just their own silos of groups. Step 3, build the structure in your information management system. Once your storyboard is visualized and in a storyboard, building it into your CHMS platform is mostly just entering it into the system's tools. Here's what that split actually looks like once it exists in a real system. On one side, your belong structure. In Realm, ministry areas show all of your groups, making available all the tools that go into benefiting from this complete structure of your church. On the other side, your serve structure. As it is built in Realm, it may be in a separate menu. This is the moment to understand this work clearly. Belong groups and serve teams are not just two categories in your head. CHMS platforms actually keep these as two distinct structures in the system. Seeing them side by side, the distinction stops being theoretical. In serving teams, there is much more beneath these than a screenshot can show. Serving roles, skills and interest, a real structure that helps you recruit and manage these teams well, not just a list of who is on those teams. From their individual spiritual gifts to the ministry interest that they express, it opens valuable recruitment. Hint, 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 find new volunteers. For that repetitive need, as well as management tools. We are staying today at the concept level of this video on purpose. A full walkthrough of actually building this out step by step in Realm and other platforms is coming in its own video soon. For now, keep the point simple. Once the structure is built, here is what comes next in this process. Step 4, populate the structure. A perfect, shiny, empty structure is just your template. Now you will bring it to life by populating every group. Every group gets a leader. Not somebody probably knows this, I just don't know who it is. It's an actual name in the system attached to that group, to that team. Now add the participants and the volunteers, individuals from your database who are actually attending and currently involved. This is also where you will find your gaps. That serving team with no leader assigned, a Bible study no one has touched since last year. Populating the structure does not just organize your church, it shows you where the organization has quietly become out of date and is in need of archiving, not deleting. Hear me, not deleting, just archiving those old groups and cleaning up the system. Step 5. Utilize and manage your new structure. This is where the structure starts working for you instead of just sitting there. 3 things happen here, and they are all dependent upon steps 1 through 4 getting done correctly. Allow me to give you a mental image to help you understand this purpose and process. Think about your last visit to the doctor's office. Before anything else happens, well, after checking in and paying for the visit, or co-paying, of course, before you even discuss why you came in, someone checks your vitals, weight, height, blood pressure. Nothing fancy yet, no diagnoses, just a baseline reading of where your vitals actually stand right now. Keeping people's names on a roster in your belong groups and serve teams works the same way. Just having a name sitting there is not your end game. It is the first and foremost a vitals check. What you do with that structure from here, tracking it, watching it, using it, is what checks the pulse of your congregation. Communication. A populated, correctly structured group is the only way you can actually message the correct people. Not everybody at the church, only ushers. just the choir, these small groups, this committee, or this serving team. Communication only works as well as the structure on which it is built. Calendaring, scheduling. Here's an important distinction I want you to remember from this video. Create calendars and schedules for your attendance groups and your serving teams, not just for individual people, which is what most people do, is building their calendars around individuals instead of roles. This Sunday is Marcus' usher shift. Renee's turn to serve on the AV team. It lives in Marcus' head, and the church calendar shows nothing at all about his serving. Now Marcus moves, or Renee gets busy and needs a break, which happens to every volunteer eventually. What disappears with Marcus? The roles are no longer covered. Map the event to the team instead. Know the pulse, and the ministry can continue successful. This applies to your attendance groups as well, since adding events enables attendance tracking, and more on that next. Attendance. A group without attendance tracking shows who is supposed to be in the group. Attendance tracking against that same group tells you who has plugged in and who perhaps has unplugged. If a roster is the vitals check, attendance is the pulse, the heartbeat. It is the one number that tells you whether the pulse is strong or needs medical attention, i.e. pastoral care attention. And taking attendance is not busy work for its own sake. It is how you close the back door. You cannot notice someone is disappearing from a group that has never been mapped in the first place. You cannot catch someone slipping out the back door, and perhaps even the church, if nobody in that group is caring enough for the members in their group. Now, I know what some of you are already thinking because I hear it nearly every time I sit down with a staff. Tracking attendance is a lot of work without much value. So, let me tell you exactly what you lose if you decide it is not worth that trouble. A person joins a small group because they are looking for a place to belong. That is true whether they would ever use those words or not. The first week or two someone misses, somebody might notice. If that group is small and there is a true community within, not taking attendance, that individual misses a second week, then 3 times, then 4. Wow! What started as 1 week away quietly becomes a habit, and nobody in that group can tell you exactly when or why it happened. Here's what that person is thinking by week 3 or week 4, even if they never say it to anyone. I like this group. I enjoy the teacher's style of teaching. I have learned from the content in that class. It has met a need for me, but I joined it to be a part of the community. And since I've been missing, no one has called. I even saw the leader at the grocery store last week. They did not ask me where I had been, and they did not let me know that I had been missed. So, why do I keep showing up? Maybe I will just stay home again. The more tragic danger is that they might decide that your church is not where their family should be attending, giving, serving, and worshiping. That is not a database problem. That is a person quietly deciding that they were never really part of the community after all. Tracking attendance is the only way you can catch that before it becomes permanent, not by hoping somebody remembers, but by being intentional about it. Close the back door. Track attendance. The payoff is not a cleaner spreadsheet. The payoff is a parishioner knowing that someone notices when they are not there. And right behind the first objection always comes the second one. Staff will tell me, we do not have time to take attendance for all those groups. Fair enough. I get it. The staff is busy. But the system of management will teach staff that the church already has group and team leaders who can take care of that need. Your group leaders are the first to know if there's a problem with someone's attendance or involvement. They're the first line of pastoral care in your groups. An illness in the family, financial difficulty because of a recent layoff, family struggles. They are the ones who will notice before the church office staff knows it has happened. So train your leaders. Encourage them to truly lead. Your leaders keeping attendance tracked and rosters current. Teach them that their primary role is being the first line of pastoral care and, when needed, triage too. And when something is off, when someone has missed 3 3 weeks in a row, they're also the ones who can run it up the flagpole to the pastors so additional pastoral care can happen as it's needed. But once your structure is built and populated and attendance is tracked against it, you finally have an answer to the question we've been asking since part 3 of this series. Who notices when someone goes quiet? Not a hunch, an actual answer sitting there in your system, and with a simple query, waiting for someone to discover before that person, that family, quietly disappears. Where this leaves you as a staff member, as a church: vision it, storyboard it, build it, populate it, utilize and manage it. 5 steps in order, and now you have a clean answer every time somebody asks who is actually serving and who is actually involved. How many groups does your church really have? What is the real number of ministries in your church right now? To the detriment of the church, the pandemic got us into a habit of not gathering as a community. Continue to create those groups. Continue to involve volunteers on serving teams. Create these opportunities for family and community. Build it. They will come. After 4 decades of serving congregations and leading groups, and after more than 20 plus years of training and implementing these concepts with thousands of churches, I am a strong believer in the value of this management process. I suspect you might have realized my passion through this video and perhaps with working with me over the past few years. If you would like help walking through what that looks like for your church, I have left a link below. Let's have a conversation. Next time, we journey into stewardship, because knowing who is showing up and who is serving is only part of the picture of a healthy congregation. Giving financially to support the church ministries. That looks different today than it did 10 years ago. And stewardship of life, not simply dollars from our wallets. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with a friend, a fellow pastor, or a church that you too can help make stronger. Blessings for you, your family, and your flock. Know your congregation. See you next week.